Greetings and salutations one and all. Welcome to another Tuesday night right here on the night shift to DJ Kevin Stewart's Healthy Love Night. How you doing? Kicking it off with a little Susan Macchio. Or Macchio, depending on how she want it. It's called We Come Out to Dance. Want to say big ups to everybody locked in right now. Those on TuneIn Radio, the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Those hailing from across the pond, the One Harmony Radio. Top of the morning to you guys over there in the UK. Greetings and salutations to those on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Those locked in on WGLRO, home of the Donny Walker Morning Show, taking you from the sheets to the streets on the People Station, touching from Detroit to Denmark and all points in between. Want to say big ups to Island Worldwide. Yeah man, welcome out to dance. Big ups to those on PEMGTV.com. And of course those locked in right here at the home of the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com. Welcome. Glad to have you. I couldn't do it without you. And you have my word, I wouldn't even try. Susan Macchio, we come out to dance. We come out to dance. If you don't want to dance, that is your business.
Christmas is a happy time. Forget your worry and care. This will be a fun time. So raise your hand in the air.
So this Christmas, we're going to dance.
Let me dance this Christmas. We come out to dance. Let me dance. Let me dance this Christmas. We come out to dance.
Want to say welcome to those locked in on Facebook Live. I want to say thank you to my segment sponsor, Pulse Media Group, for sponsoring this segment of the broadcast. When being in a moment is priceless, give them a call. They take care of your innovative streaming and recording solutions. Have an event you want to broadcast live? A party, a funeral, wedding, church service. If you want to take that step further and have your own internet TV station, they have solutions for you. Give them a call. 754-999-6020. Or check them out at pulseemg.com. Tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you.
Everybody jump up and dance. Hold your partner, don't let go. We come out to prance. Christmas is a happy time. Forget your worry and care. This will be a fun time. So raise your hand in the air. So let me dance, let me dance, let me dance this Christmas. We come out to dance. Let me dance this Christmas. We come out.
Her name is Susan Masio. That's the title of the track right there. We come out to what? Yeah, we come out to dance. I want to say hi to my new friends over there and my new family members up there in New York. Flexing the power of music. Island worldwide. Inviting to call a friend, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell your ex. Well, sometimes the ex and the enemy is the same, right? We're not getting into that one tonight. Those of you locked in on Facebook Live, remember it's only temporary, so use the link kevinstew.com and jump into the stew pot where we can be interactive. Those of you wondering what the stew pot is, others call it a chat room. What we're fancy over here on kevinstew.com. We call it the stew pot. It's where we keep things bubbling. You don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to register. You can remain anonymous if you choose, or you can change and put a name. So what happens on a Tuesday if you're new is a thing we call healthy love. Yes, sometimes it is exactly as you think it is, and sometimes it is not. So tonight, though, it is not quite what you think. And we will be looking at something that we've touched on a number of occasions, because this is a night when we focus on making sure that we stay healthy. And we have to stay healthy or get healthy so that we can have our love being really juicy, right? So how do we stay healthy? And in this time when it's all about the pandemic, every time you switch to the news, you go on social media, everywhere you go, it's all about COVID-19. And right now, it's all about the COVID-19 vaccine. But as temperatures drop and rates of respiratory infections, the common cold and influenza being the primary culprits, they tend to increase exponentially. And it's just what has always happened. According to Mercola.com, many believe this has to do with the drop in temperature, but cold exposure actually ramps up your immune system, making you less prone to infection. According to a 2002 study by the US and Canadian armies, cold exposure can double the number of natural killer, the NK cells, in your body, which are part of your first line of defense against pathogenic infiltration and other types of cell damage. Now, there's a retired nurse and academic teacher by the name of John Campbell that, in a scientific review published in 2006, concluded that epidemic seasonal influenza, the flu that happens every year, is most likely related to the prevalence of vitamin D deficiency during winter months. What? Just vitamin D deficiency? Well, think about it. According to the authors, in 1981, R. Edgar Hope Simpson proposed that a seasonal stimulus intimately associated with solar radiation explained the remarkable seasonality of epidemic influenza. Solar radiation triggers robust seasonal vitamin D production in the skin. Vitamin D deficiency is common in the winter, and activated vitamin D 125-OH2D, a steroid hormone, has profound effects on human immunity. 125-OH2D acts as an immune system modulator, preventing excessive expression of inflammatory cytokines and increasing the oxidative burst potential of macrophages. Perhaps most importantly, it dramatically stimulates the expression of potent antimicrobial peptides, which exist in neutrophils, monocytes, natural killer cells, and epithelial cells lining the respiratory tract, where here they play a major role in protecting the lung from infection. With me thus far? Cool. So, while vitamin D has been linked to many health benefits, the relationship between vitamin D and infectious disease is particularly robust. For example, in 2010, a study by Norwegian researchers found that there's an inverse relationship between UVB sun exposure, which is how your body synthesizes vitamin D naturally, and influenza deaths. Now pay attention. According to the authors, non-pandemic influenzas mostly occur in the winter season in temperate regions. UVB calculations show that at high latitudes, very little, if any, vitamin D is produced in the skin during the winter. Even at 26 degrees north, this is Okinawa, there is about 4 times more UVB during the summer than during the winter. In tropical regions, there are 2 minor peaks in vitamin D photosynthesis and practically no seasonality of influenza. Pandemics may start with a wave in an arbitrary season, while secondary waves often occur the following winter. Thus, it appears that a low vitamin D status may play a significant role in most influenzas. The data report that hypothesizes that high fluences of UVB radiation, or your vitamin D level, as occur in the summer. What that does is it acts in a protective manner with respect to influenza. Now, other studies have confirmed the long held belief that vitamin D protects against tuberculosis, which is a fatal lung disease that kills an estimated 1.8 million people around the world each year. This is largely related to vitamin D stimulating antimicrobial peptides, AMPs, like cathelicidin. Now, in the past, tuberculosis was treated by making some patients get plenty of sun exposure. Simple enough, right? In fact, Finson was given the Nobel Prize in 1903 for this determination, for coming to the revelation or the understanding of the influence of the sun in the fight against tuberculosis. Around the turn of the 20th century, regular sun exposure was the most effective clinical strategy for the treatment of tuberculosis, but was eventually phased out with the development of antibiotics. Now, why exactly you'd want to go that route? You know my position on that. It all comes from Big Pharma. But I won't get into that right now. So, a 2011 study in Science Transitional Medicine examined the mechanisms responsible for your immune system's ability to ward against tuberculosis, concluding that T cells play a central role. They release a protein called interferon G, which in turn activates the release of AMPs, so your immune cells can mount an effective attack against the tuberculosis bacteria. However, in order for this activation to happen, you have to have sufficient levels of vitamin D. In patients with low vitamin D levels, this immune response was not activated. Meanwhile, among those with adequate levels, there was an 85% reduction of colony-forming tuberculosis bacteria. Now, this was reported by UCLA, saying, quote, "The team noted that vitamin D may help both innate and adaptive immunity, two systems that work synergistically together to fight infections. Previous research by the team found that vitamin D played a key role in the production of a molecule called cathelicidin, which helps to innate immune system kill the tuberculosis bacteria. Humans are born with innate immunity, which is the programmed part of the immune system. The current research findings demonstrate that vitamin D is also critical for the action of T cells, key players in adaptive immunity, a highly specialized system that humans acquire over time as they encounter different pathogens." Now, you might remember, well, I guess not everybody would probably remember this, but when I was growing up as a child, one of the really interesting things was hearing that people don't come out with their newborn babies. Mothers didn't come out with their newborn babies out of their homes for months initially. They'll just stay home and breastfeed. In coming up in when I was growing up, and that was before my time, it changed a little bit. But one thing remained, and that was the fact that mothers were breastfeeding. Now, I didn't know back then the importance of the breastfeeding thing. As an adult and learning about how immunity works and the exposure to certain pathogens and the importance of that, with starting this broadcast with Dr. Janice Stone and learning some of this information, it started to make sense. And it's not rocket science. It just kind of clicked. As an adult woman, you're exposed to certain things over the duration of your life. Now you've had a child. You know what that means? That means you have certain antibodies. Now here you are, you have a child, and you start breastfeeding. Outside of what that child has already received from you inside the womb. Now, as a breastfeeding mother, you're passing on other immune building tools. And that has been one of the great things about human beings. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you take away that ability to pass on some of the foundational immune system building blocks? Now, formula is the big thing. So mothers are not breastfeeding as much. What do you think is going to happen in our community? Think about it. Hey Francine, welcome. Those of you who are locked in on Facebook Live, remember it's only temporary. In just a few moments we're gonna be closing that out. So go jump on over. Use the link, kevinstew.com. Come on over to the website, jump into the stew pot. Let's be interactive. Those of you who want to call and text in and share your information, give your views, you're encouraged to do so, because right here on the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, one of our motto is having acceptance through enlightenment. So we need to share with each other in order to be enlightened. And of course, you know, my job here is to stimulate your appetite, not to satisfy your hunger. So I give you information. You don't just take my information and that be the end of it. No. You need to take it a step further. You need to find out some information of your own. So number to call, numbers to text, 773-789-STEW. That's 773-789-7839. Call, text. Of course, the stew pot is available on kevinstew.com. Jump on in. The water is always fine. So everybody who are you're sharing to your friends and you're jumping on the Facebook Live, don't get too comfortable. Use the link. Go to kevinstew.com. All right? Cool. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. Give some of you guys the opportunity to come on over to kevinstew.com or any other channels or mediums that you choose to use. Island Worldwide, One Harmony Radio, WGLRO, One Harmony, I did say One Harmony Radio, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, PEMGTV.com, or even on TuneIn on the Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Any of those mediums that you choose to use, giving you the opportunity to move away from Facebook Live to go to one of those. So we're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, we'll continue talking a little bit about vitamin D. And, it's on one hand, it's a kind of a refresher. And on the other hand, it is making some people aware of the importance of vitamin D and what happens when you're deficient and what happens when you get some. So call a friend, tell a friend. It's Healthy Love right here on the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. We'll be right back after these messages. Facebook Live, thank you for joining me. Deuces.
Pulse Media Group, innovative streaming and recording, has done it again. A new way to get your business in full view of your neighborhood consumer through AdShare TV. It's available in your neighborhood today. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. Become a host today and place a TV monitor in a strategic location so it's easy to see. Get a 1-minute video ad or longer that plays anywhere in our network. Can't be a host? No problem. For a few dollars, we'll run your 30-second video ad. A host can run announcement specials like buy one get one free or discount ads. Let's turn your flyers into a 30-second video with music or a voiceover, or let us create and run your video ad with a spokesperson. Take advantage of our early enrollment discount. Join us today. Your ad will be seen at least 30 times per day in your AdShare TV neighborhood. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. AdShare TV, part of Pulsing Media Group.
It takes an entire village to raise a child. Hello, I'm Paul Campbell, here to talk about Palace. Peace and Love Academic Scholarship. This non-profit group supports students facing serious obstacles from entering or continuing their studies, not because the grades are failing, but due to the lack of financial support.
Over the past 8 years, Palace has awarded 600 scholarships valued at approximately 50.3 million Jamaican dollars, or 415,000 US dollars.
Together, we must build a better future for our children. Please visit www.palace1.org and make your donation to brighten the future of a deserving child. Palace, preserving young minds for posterity.
Imagine having our own Caribbean Center.
Imagine a museum highlighting our history and the contributions of Caribbean people to the world.
Imagine being able to visit and learn about the islands we call home.
In a place where our kids can see and feel their cultural heritage. You can make this vision come to life.
Help us create this first-of-its-kind space
that all Caribbean people can be proud of. Your contribution to Island Space Caribbean Museum will help this dream come true.
Visit islandspacefl.org/GoFundMe.
Visit islandspacefl.org/GoFundMe.
Visit islandspacefl.org/GoFundMe and donate today.
Matthew 28:19 says, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations." With this in mind and encouragement received during a South Florida media conference, The Church Links was birthed. The Church Links is an interdenominational worship service portal for churches, providing the tools to spread the word through technology in a cost-effective way. The Church Links, www.dahchurchlinx.com. Your links to worship and praise.
I'm representing for DJ Kevin Stew, working on the night shift radio show. Won't go changing like the weather, just to please the devil never. Will DJ Kevin Stew sell his soul? That's a word and honor. It's Christine representing word and honor. Celestia DJ Kevin Stew.
Ain't nothing gonna stop my stride or broke my vibe. All of that can go to them. Already made up my mind that I'm living my best life. Every day I'm outgrown. Every day I'm outgrown. Cause every day above ground is a good day. Instead of fight and quarrel and complain, give thanks and praise is what you should say. Cause every day above ground is a good day. And every day above ground is a good day. Instead of fight and quarrel and complain, give thanks and praise is what you should say. Cause every day above ground is a good day. Blessings step on me everywhere I go. Just shining sunlight through my window. Him say give thanks for life today, because no one knows tomorrow. So I give thanks, no time for stressing. Every breath I breathe is a blessing. Respect to you, Jah. I'm confessing you're on it. I'm not guessing, cause every day above ground is say. Cause every day above ground is a good day. And every day above ground is a good day. Instead of fight and quarrel and complain, give thanks and praises what you should.
Want to say welcome to you, welcome back, those who were here from before.
No time to be hateful.
Son of Korik.
Grateful for.
Track is called Good Day.
Hateful, but from your living and breathing, stay cheerful and give thanks and learn this.
This song used to be my, well, it still is really, my alarm tone. Everybody else have a bell or something. I have this song.
Him say give thanks for life today because no one knows tomorrow. So I give thanks, no time for stressing. Every breath
Want to say thank you to my segment sponsor,
respect to you.
Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands.
I'm not guessing.
Althea is a licensed massage therapist that comes to you with 20 years of experience, her own table and COVID-free.
Cause every day above ground
If
is
you're in the Broad County area, North Miami-Dade or South Palm Beach counties, give her a call, 954-655-9000.
praises what you should
Or you can email her at thealater, THEALATER, at att.net.
so much to be grateful for. You might never have your plate full, but from your living and breathing stay.
So if you have plans,
Give thanks and
you're COVID-free,
every breath we breathe.
you're in the area,
Blessing, respect to you.
give her a call. Outside of paying her, she only has one request of you.
Not guessing.
Get her off her table and go sleep somewhere else.
Quarrel and complain. Give thanks and praise is what you should say. Cause every day above ground is a good day. And every day above ground is a good day. Instead of fight and quarrel and complain, give thanks and praise is what you should say. Cause every day above ground is a good day.
Yeah, so we're talking about that vitamin D.
Yeah. I already made up my mind that I'm living my best life.
As we continue to try to live our best lives, and if you haven't started doing it yet, you have the opportunity every day that you open your eyes and take a breath, you knowingly take a breath, that you have an opportunity to start having that good day, living your best life. Currently, as we continue with healthy love, currently the respiratory infection of note is, you heard it when I started at the beginning of the broadcast, you of course you'd expect to hear it now. The infection on everybody's lips is COVID-19. And believe it or not, here we go. Vitamin D appears to have a lot to do with your risk of this infection as well. According to a Spanish study published online October 27, 2020, in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, 82.2% of COVID-19 patients tested were found to be deficient in vitamin D, as reported by the authors, quote, in COVID-19 patients, mean SD 25 OHD levels were 13.8 to plus or minus. So it's 13.8 plus or minus 7.2 nanograms per milliliter compared to 20.9 plus or minus 7.4 nanograms per milliliter in controls. 25 OHD values were lower in men than in women. Vitamin D deficiency was found in 82.2% of COVID-19 cases and 47.2% of the population-based controls. 25 OHD inversely correlate to serum ferritin and D-dimer levels. The vitamin D deficient COVID-19 patients had a greater prevalence of hypertension and cardiovascular diseases, raised serum ferritin and troponin levels, as well as a longer length of stay in hospital than those with serum 25 OHD levels greater than 20 nanograms per milliliter. Now, while this particular study failed to find a correlation between vitamin D levels and disease severity, other studies have shown patients with higher levels do tend to have milder disease. In fact, one such study found your risk of developing a severe case of or dying from COVID 19 virtually disappears once your vitamin D level gets above 30 nanograms per milliliter. Now, other research looking at vitamin D and COVID 19 mortality found those with vitamin D levels between 21 nanograms per milliliter and 29 nanograms per milliliter had a 12.55 times greater risk of death than those with a level above 30 nanograms per milliliter. Having a level below 20 nanograms per milliliter was associated with a 19.12 times higher risk of death. You're almost 20 times more likely to have to meet your peril, to end up dead. And that alone is enough to scare me into sitting in the sun. I don't even know any other way to put it. Vitamin D has also been linked to a lower risk of testing positive for COVID 19. Which leads me to ask the question, all right, with all the testing that has been done this far, all this year, 2020, why haven't we been hearing a lot more in news reports on major media that vitamin D may have something to do with this? Whether you are vitamin D proficient or deficient, that it has something to do with it. Vitamin D has also been linked to a lower risk of testing positive for COVID 19. This, the largest observational study to date, looked at data for 191,779 American patients who were tested for SARS-CoV-2 between March and June 2020 and had their vitamin D tested sometime in the preceding 12 months. Of those with a vitamin D level below 20 nanograms per milliliter, so you're deficient, 12.5% tested positive for SARS-CoV-2, compared to 8.1% of those who had a vitamin D level between 30 and 34 nanograms per milliliter, which is considered adequate. And 5.9% of those who had an optimal vitamin D level of 55 nanograms per milliliter or higher, as noted by the authors. So they said SARS-CoV-2 positivity is strongly and inversely associated with circulating 25 OHD levels, a relationship that persists across latitudes, races, ethnicities, both sexes, and age ranges. In June of 2020, there was an information campaign that was launched about vitamin D that included the release of a downloadable scientific report. This report, as well as a 2-minute COVID risk quiz, is available on stopcovidcold.com. That's stopcovidcold.com. October 31, 2020, there was a review paper, Evidence Regarding Vitamin D and Risk of COVID-19 and Its Severity, co-written by William Grant and Dr. Carol Wagner, both of whom are part of the grassroots health expert vitamin D panel, who also published in the peer-reviewed journal Nutrients. And that's a paper that you can read for free on the journal website. So check that out. Grassroots Health or you can check the journal Nutrients. Now, as noted in that paper, dark skin color, increased age, pre-existing chronic conditions, and vitamin D deficiency are all features of severe COVID disease. And of these, vitamin D deficiency is the only factor that is readily and easily modifiable. Some people will say, boy, you can bleach. That doesn't do anything as it relates to this. You may be able to reverse chronic disease, but that typically takes time. Optimizing your vitamin D, on the other hand, can be achieved in just a few weeks, and in doing so, significantly lowering your risk of severe COVID-19. But again, in mainstream media, how many times have you heard anything relating to that bit of information? In the paper, there was a review of several of the mechanisms by which vitamin D can reduce your risk of COVID-19 and other respiratory infections, including, but not limited to, reducing the survival and replication of viruses, reducing inflammatory cytokine production, maintaining endothelial integrity. Endothelial dysfunction contributes to vascular inflammation and impaired blood clotting, two hallmarks of severe COVID-19. Check it out. Also, increasing angiotensin converting enzyme 2, which is your ACE2 inhibitors, which prevents the virus from entering cells via the ACE2 receptor. ACE2 is downregulated by SARS-CoV-2 infection. And by increasing ACE2, you also avoid excessive accumulation of angiotensin 2, a peptide hormone known to increase the severity of COVID-19. Again, information you don't really hear on mainstream media. Vitamin D is also important, is also an important component of COVID-19 prevention and treatment for a few reasons. It boosts your overall immune function by modulating your innate and adaptive immune responses. It reduces respiratory distress. It improves overall lung function, helps produce sulfocants in your lungs that aid in fluid clearance. It lowers your risk of comorbidities associated with poor COVID-19 prognosis, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Data from 14 observational studies, that's 14 observational studies, summarized in a table that suggests that vitamin D blood levels are inversely correlated with the incidence and or severity of COVID-19. And the evidence currently available generally satisfies Hill's criteria for causality in a biological system. The paper also details several features of COVID-19 that suggest vitamin D deficiency is at play. For starters, SARS-CoV-2 emerged in the winter in the northern hemisphere. And as we moved into summer, positive tests, hospitalizations, and death rates fell. So generally, COVID-19 prevalence has been inversely correlated with solar UVB doses and vitamin D production, just like seasonal influenza. Secondly, people with darker skin have higher COVID-19 case and death rates than people with lighter skin. Vitamin D is produced in your skin in response to sun exposure, but the darker your skin, the more sun exposure you need in order to maintain an optimal level of vitamin D. As a result, vitamin D deficiency tends to be far higher among black people and dark skinned people on a whole. You seeing what is going on here? You catch the trend? Thirdly, one of the lethal hallmarks of COVID-19 is the cytokine storm. And that can help develop in severe cases, which manifests as hyperinflammation and tissue damage. Vitamin D is known to regulate inflammatory cytokine production. When it does this, it lowers the risk of the whole cytokine production, the inflammatory cytokine production, which puts you in a better position than you were before, right? 1 + 1 = 2. Lastly, vitamin D is an important regulator of your immune system. And dysregulation of the immune system is also a hallmark of severe COVID-19. So basically, we're being told low vitamin D increases your risk of severe COVID-19 cases. It increases the number of COVID-19 cases. Just something as simple as vitamin D. Something as readily available as vitamin D. According to a November 28th, 2020, this was just weeks ago, BBC News report, British health officials are now recommending people to take supplemental vitamin D this winter to reduce their risk of respiratory infections, including COVID-19. Similar recommendations have been issued to the government health officials in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Unfortunately, we haven't heard any such recommendations in the US. And that is why information like this is important for us to hear. Senior care homes in the UK will receive enough vitamin D supplements to cover all their residents. And people on the critical or the clinically extremely vulnerable list. And they will have the option to get 4 months worth of free vitamin D supplements delivered to their homes starting in January 2021. We have heard no such initiative being even discussed in the United States. I don't know if our friends to the north, our neighbors to the north in Canada, if they have had anything like that, but I haven't heard it. Even though the dose that is recommended is 100 to 180% lower than the ideal range of 6,000 to 8,000 units a day, nevertheless, the chief nutritionist at Public Health England, Dr. Alison Tedstone, told BBC, quote, "We advise that everyone, particularly the elderly, those who don't get outside and those with dark skin, take a vitamin D supplement containing 10 micrograms every day." 10 micrograms work out to about 400 international units. This year, the advice is more important than ever, with more people spending more time inside, which is why the government will be helping the clinically extremely vulnerable to get vitamin D. All right, we're going to pause for a moment. Earlier this year, those of you who are regular listeners to Healthy Love, we talked about this whole quarantine thing and the potential risk of the quarantines. You know, you being indoors all day, every day. You're not getting sun exposure. You're not interacting with other human beings and getting exposed to certain pathogens which help to build your immune system. the possibility that, and some of you might get the picture that I'm painting here, sitting at home every day, not interacting with other people, not going out getting the sunlight, you are weakening your immune system. And we talked about the possibility of that. So here we are, essentially weakening our immune system, not supplementing, not trying to supplement, not being encouraged by our healthcare system to supplement, because now we're indoors all the time. And then say, you know what? Let's open up. And now people start interacting all over again. So now you have a weakened immune system from not interacting and being indoors all the time to now going out and being bombarded by whatever pathogens are out there. So now your body has to almost start working double time. In addition, stress. You have to include the stress factor in when you're looking at your health. And stress directly affects our health. We know this. So here it is, we're in a stressful situation because money not flowing the way it used to. Those that don't have regular 9 to 5s, that typically on the hustle, they can't get on the hustle. There is risk of foreclosures, there's risk of evictions, there's risk of failure out of school because of a whole change in how we interact. So it's stressful. What do you find happening? Now people getting sick. Recently I looked at how COVID-19 tests are done and the importance of the cycles, the amplification of the cells to determine the virus that is present, or if the virus that is present. And 35 cycles being what science typically uses as a benchmark, and COVID-19 tests being done at 45 cycles. These things are things that individually we need to be looking into and asking questions to our doctors, researching information on our own, because here it comes back to something as simple as vitamin D playing a role in reducing all these cases of COVID-19 that is constantly talked about. But here's another thing. Of all the 15 million plus cases of COVID-19 that is talked about, and the 230,000 plus deaths that is constantly talked about, we're not talking about the over 8.8 million recoveries that, mark you, has happened without the vaccine. And if you've been paying attention to the vaccine information, they have said, well, the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting the virus. It is to help prevent you from getting sick from getting the virus. Okay. So if there are other things that help to prevent you from getting sick, or to prevent you from being as sick, that is more readily available and much cheaper, why isn't that being the avenue of choice that is explored? Yeah, it just might be my question alone, and I'm fine if it's my question alone. But if you're not asking a question similar to that, there's a problem. And we need to be looking into these problems, because that's a serious question to ask. Like it or not. Believe it or not. We're going to take another break really quickly, and then we come back and wrap up the bit of information before we close out the night and get into musical therapy. We'll be right back after these messages. When being in the moment is priceless, consider the ability to share that moment. If you can video it, you can broadcast it. And Pulse E-Media Group has the tools you need. Weddings, birthdays, funerals, graduations, church services, parties, seminars, you name it. Pulse E-Media Group can provide you with a secure medium controlled by you to broadcast your event. Contact us at www.pulsemediagroup.com for more information. Pulse E-Media Group, when being in the moment is priceless.
Reggae Global Entertainment presents international recording artist Ed Robinson's new single, One of the Poorest People. This is a hot one, available November 15th, 2020.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid.
In English,
And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
the only thing I didn't learn in school today.
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.
Hey yo, this is Caraman to let you know that right about now you are logged on to DJ Kevin Stew on the Night Shift. Don't move.
Every nurse, every doctor, every soldier, every essential worker, we salute you. Shout out to the K-Plus heroes out there. Just know we appreciate you. Oh yeah, reaching out to the unsung heroes without fear. We pray that God protect you. Everywhere. Guide and protect. It's not easy on the front line. To put your life on the line. It's sticky on
Yeah, we know it's not easy on the front line, but thank you.
So, we thank you for your braveness, your courageousness. You're from in your noble acts. You do it selfless, helping out the helpless and defenseless. We could go on and on, the stories are endless. You're relentless in the process. Going in the storm, want us to perform, putting yourself in harm's way. So how could we ever repay all the K-plus heroes?
It's called K-Plus Heroes.
Just know we appreciate you.
He goes by the name James P.
Heroes without fear. We pray that God protect you. Everywhere. It's not easy on the front line.
I want to say thank you to my segment sponsor, Reggae Global Entertainment, for taking care of sponsorship of this segment of the broadcast. They can take care of your tour management, handle your social media marketing, help with your visual EPKs, copyrights, publishing, trademarks, business registrations, legal service referrals, music production, marketing and promotion, and so much more. Give them a call, 954-998-8034, or visit them at reggaeglobalentertainment.com. Tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you.
Giving all you got so the peace is alive. On the front line. On the front line.
Thank you, James P. It's called K-Plus Heroes. Alright, so continuing where we left off, looking at vitamin D and its importance to our health and how the role it plays in the fight against COVID-19. Understand this. If you cannot get enough amounts of sun exposure to maintain a vitamin D blood level of 40 nanograms per milliliter, or anywhere from 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter, a vitamin D3 supplement is highly recommended. Just remember that most important of the factors to consider is your blood level, not the dose. So before you start, you want to get tested to know your baseline. And this will help you to determine your ideal dose, because it can vary widely from person to person. Now, you also want to remember that you can minimize your vitamin D requirement by making sure you're also getting enough magnesium. Magnesium is required for the conversion of vitamin D into its active form, and research has confirmed higher magnesium intake helps reduce your risk of vitamin D deficiency by activating more of it. So, it's important to recognize how minerals play a role in the absorption of vitamins. A scientific review published in 2018 concluded that up to half of all Americans taking vitamin D supplements may not get significant benefit, as the vitamin D simply gets stored in its inactive form. And the reason for this is low magnesium levels. Research by Grassroots Health reveals taking supplemental magnesium can lower your vitamin D need by 146%. Vitamin K2 is another important cofactor, and taking both magnesium and vitamin K2 can lower your vitamin D requirement by as much as 244%. That's crazy, right? But here we go again. Information not really passed on. And when it is passed on, it's passed on in a whisper. So, all in all, optimizing your vitamin D can help you go a long way towards minimizing your chances of contracting a respiratory infection. Whether you're talking about a common cold, seasonal flu, or COVID 19. Mounting evidence also demonstrate that if you do end up contracting COVID 19, having adequate vitamin D levels will lower the odds of you requiring hospitalization and, as a result, intensive care because it reduces the severity of the infection. As we said a little bit earlier, vitamin D also lowers your risk of dying from COVID 19 or any of the ailments associated or underlying conditions that you may have that are dangerous if you contract COVID 19. Everyone is urged to not only find information but to share that information about vitamin D and the requirements and the importance and what can happen when you're deficient. Because this is information that everybody needs to have. Again, those living in the northern hemisphere, this is a time when you want to check your vitamin D levels and start taking actions to raise it if it is below 40 nanograms per milliliter. Experts recommend anywhere between 40 and 60 nanograms per milliliter as your vitamin D levels. A cost-effective way of measuring your vitamin D level is to order a grassroots health vitamin D testing kit. And again, check out the information on stopcovidcold.com. This information is out there, it's available. Once you get your current vitamin D levels, then what you can do is there's a calculator on Grassroots Health also that help to determine how much vitamin D you might need to reach your target level. And remember, optimizing or increasing your magnesium and vitamin K2 intake will also optimize your vitamin D absorption and utilization. So it's one thing when you have vitamin D in your body, but if it is not being absorbed into your system, then it wouldn't be effectively used. So that is something else that you want to take into consideration and make sure you keep that at the forefront of your mind. This information is a bit of information that goes a long way because according to another large-scale study, having optimal vitamin D levels can slash your risk of cancer and can help prevent at least 16 different types of cancer, including pancreatic, lung, ovarian, prostate, and skin cancers. Vitamin D from sun exposure also radically decreases your risk of autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis and type 1 diabetes. Sun exposure also helps prevent osteoporosis, which is a significant concern for women in particular. Now, since over half the population does not get enough magnesium and far more are likely deficient, magnesium supplementation is recommended when taking vitamin D supplements. And this is because magnesium helps to activate vitamin D, as the enzymes that metabolize vitamin D in your liver and kidneys require magnesium. These are just little bits of information to help you along the way. Research suggests high doses of omega-3 fats, EPA, DHA, may help in improving healing after heart attacks. So here's something else that you want to keep in consideration: your omega-3s. Another benefit of omega-3 fats include prevention of lupus and Parkinson's disease, decreased anxiety, healthier and stronger bones, as well as fighting fats in the body. So get in your omega 3s. You know, there are so many simple and available things that can help to maintain good health. Can help to keep us, if not at, but close to optimal health. Your vitamin D's, your omega 3s, your magnesium, your vitamin K2s, these all work synergistically to almost make us superhuman. And it isn't a case where you're becoming superhuman. It is just a case that you're optimizing your health. Here's something to consider when absorbing all this information about the COVID-19 vaccines all over the world. The backers of Australia's homegrown COVID-19 vaccine candidate today announced, well, not today, 4 days ago, announced on, so that was what, the 11th of December? They announced that they put a halt to their COVID-19 vaccine development. And this is after some of the first people to receive the vaccine in a safety trial generated antibodies to an unintended target, that target being the AIDS virus. A small fragment of an HIV protein is a component of the vaccine used to add stability to the intended antibody target, the spike protein of the pandemic coronavirus SARS-CoV-2. Now, although the added component didn't represent an actual infection with HIV, the vaccine developers and the Australian government concluded a widespread rollout of the candidate would interfere with HIV diagnostic tests and decided not to proceed to larger clinical trials. Now, given the strong efficacy shown by several recent COVID-19 vaccines, they're saying it is likely that other candidates still in development will now have a higher bar to clear to move forward. This is Australia's version, or one of their versions of the COVID-19 vaccine that they were rolling out. So, I guess now this fast-track vaccine thing is the order of the day. Gone are the days when it would take years to develop a vaccine. Here it is, everything is being fast-tracked and tested on unsuspecting guinea pigs. Is that how we choose to move forward with our health, with our lives? Seriously, people? This, you have the right to ask questions. You have the right to say no until you're comfortable with your answers. So, if it is not one thing, it is another. One thing you want to consider, one thing you want to remember when it comes to these vaccines, especially in the United States, they're not held accountable. They're not responsible if you have adverse reactions to these vaccines. They're immune. So there is no complaining to anybody about anything. There's no suing anybody for medical care. There is no bringing anybody from the dead because they had an adverse reaction. None of that. All it is a statistic at the end of the day for big pharmaceutical companies. And I'm not saying that I'm against vaccines. I don't want anybody going out there saying, hey, yo, Kevin Stew, this guy is off his rockers. He's against vaccines. No, I'm not saying I'm against vaccines. I'm just against vaccines that don't work. Here's the thing. In order to find out if they work, they have to get tested, right? Who or where are these vaccines being tested when they're being fast-tracked? So now we have a highly touted virus, right? And we have the solution. So you have mass hysteria being created, and then you have a solution to the mass hysteria being getting vaccinated. But the vaccine, you're being told, is not going to prevent the virus. It is just supposed to help you to not get sick. That's pretty much what they said about the flu virus also. The flu vaccine. Or I shouldn't be comparing the two. Because a lot of people I know or I have read about have received the flu vaccine and still got sick. So what makes this any different? It's a virus. I have yet to date to find a cure for a virus other than the virus run its course and antibodies are developed that help you to fight the virus. Now, of course, I'm a DJ, not a DR, so you don't have to take my word for it. However, those of you listening on Island Worldwide, One Harmony Radio, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, WGLRO, PEMG TV, The Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stew, KevinStew.com, all of you have the choice. All of you have the opportunity to ask questions. All of you have the ability to take your health into your own hands. Or should I say, all of us. So, why are we leaving it up to politicians? Yeah. Those are the ones that get to decide our fate. Because what? Because of a paycheck, a payout, a benefit, a vacation in some fancy place in some exotic remote location. Come on, people.
Me has a 15 of them, they got a nose with the virus. And 30 of them The angry beast got away in the streets. It's hiding in the bushes and lurking in the creeks. No ain't the time for the heart to be weak. Stand up like a warrior by your feet. Don't sleep. Them tell I neighbor this self-quarantine. Him better bite from the big Wolverine. If he touch me gate and if he try to come in, I will clog it like a tail around machine. Whoa, school shut down, restaurant shut down. Them cancel every gathering, DJ can't play sound around. Bar shut down, all the church shut down. Them can't collect no offering from the beast in town around.
This is the sound of the real storm. The track is called Angry Bees.
Nobody not safe in that this danger zone. Protect your yard, protect your home. Paranoia and pandemonium they on ya.
So let me give you a bit of information.
Turn off them lights and lock door tight. Not even dark, now walk a night. Oh why? The angry beast got away in the streets. It's hiding in the bushes and lurking in the creeks. No ain't no time for the heart to be weak. Stand up like a warrior by your feet. Can't sleep. Them tell I neighbor this self-quarantine. Him better bite from the big wolf.
present, 73,806,583 coronavirus cases have been reported. There have been 1,641,635 deaths. I'm talking about worldwide. I'm not talking about just in the United States. I'm talking about worldwide. 73,806,583. 1,641,635 out of that 73 million have died. There have been 51,816,716 individuals recovered globally. And the solution to the coronavirus problem is a vaccine. So this 51 million people globally that have recovered, how them recover? What was it that they used to recover with not having a vaccine? Yeah, answer me that question.
Me say 15 of them, they got a nose with the virus. 30 of them.
Getting into our musical therapy.
The streets, it's hiding in the bushes and lurking in the creeks. Now ain't the time for the heart to be weak. Stand up like a warrior by your feet.
773-789 still gets you in touch. 773-789-7839.
From the big Wolverine, if it touch me gate and if it try to come in, I will clot it like a tail around machine. Whoa, school shut down, restaurant shut down. Them cancel every gathering, DJ can't play sound around. Bar shut down, all the church shut down. Them can't collect no offering from the beast in town around. Them bust the chain and make the creature roam. The man they said that it can China own. Nobody not safe in this danger zone. Protect your yard, protect your home. Paranoia and pandemonium they on ya. Everywhere turn off them lights and lock door tight. Not even dark now walk a night. Oh why? The angry beast got away in the streets. It's hiding in the bushes and lurking in the creeks. No ain't no time for the heart to be weak. Stand up like a warrior by your feet. Can't sleep. Them tell I neighbor to self-quarantine. Him better bite from the big Wolverine. If you touch me gate and if you try to come in, I will plot it like a tail around machine. Through the beast me can't go show me partner. What me glad me have a little marijuana. Light it up and lay down on me little sofa. While I'm giving thanks to Jah for life. Cancel me flight fi go a California. Me hear the beast you better than some artist phobia. Send me mix a buckle of some strong ammonia and chant a prayer upon the dirty swine. Paranoia and pandemonium they on ya. Everywhere turn off them lights and lock door tight. Not even dark now walk a night. Oh why? The angry beast got away in the streets. It's hiding in the bushes and lurking in the creeks. Now ain't the time for the heart to be weak. Stand up like a warrior by your feet. Can't sleep. Them tell I neighbor fi self-quarantine. Him better bite from the big Wolverine. If you touch me gate and if you try to come in, I will plot it like a tail around machine. Daddy can't go work, mama can't go work. Everybody living in fear. Oh yeah, I have to put you first. He guide I through the worst. Now it's a jungle out there. The economy a fall when the lockdown stall. So tell me why the bill collector still a be a call. Government your money tall. So what's the protocol? When mama not have no food, we get the baby where you ball. Paranoia and pandemonium they on ya. Everywhere turn off them lights and lock door tight. Not even
journey, oh yes. Man never lose my way, yes. Say by your works you get to pay. Me no care when I eat them now, no backbiters want to say, check it. Still a judge I lead the way. Him guide my footstep, oh yes, and never be night and never be day, yeah. And even though things set away, me not go sell up me soul for vanity, cause in the end.
This is the sound of Kirk Davis.
Ooh, I'm truly giving thanks for everything.
Most of you know him as Little Kirk.
Gotta take the good with the bad and turn them into.
It's called That's the Way Life Goes.
The Father provided us with everything, yeah. But we, His people, corrupt the whole entire system. 'Cause that is the way life goes. Ups and down, round and round it goes. That is the way life flows. It flows, yeah. That is the way life goes. Ups and down, round and round it goes. That is the way life flows. So never you let that system that you be a victim. Never you go and compel and get red eye for the quick thing. Never you get addicted, sell out your soul and you're listening. You time, you mind, you get a beating. There is no better way. Things set away. All of the people who might be stay alive, there'll be a better way. Oh, now to the most I don't know, let him go now. Never you lose a way, now there is no better pray. Way life goes, ups and down, round and round it goes. Now that is the way life goes. Ooh, life, life. That is the way life goes. Ups and down, round and round it goes. That is the way, I've been through so much in my life, but I got to make a way 'cause I'm a survivor and I got to stay alive, yeah. No matter what come at me, I know that life, the Father is the life giver, but He never give a man more than he can bear. And do you wear and do you well, yeah. That is the way life goes, ups and down, round and round it goes. And that is the way life flows. Ooh, yeah. That is the way life goes, ups and down, round and round it goes. That is the way life goes. Life, life, life. That is the way life goes, ups and down, round and round it goes.
I want to say thanks to my segment sponsor of musical therapy. That's GMAT Music Solutions. GMAT Music Solutions brings your event to life, providing sound, lights, and stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers. Give them a call, 754-307 GMAC. That's 754-307-4622. You can also check them out online, gmatmusicsolutions.com. You can also do your online shopping at GMAT Music Solutions. So when you connect with them, tell them, hey, listen, I was listening to DJ Kevin Stew on the night shift, and I heard about you. What can you do for me? This is Cesar.
Is it getting better?
His rendition of One.
Do you feel the same? Will it make it easier on you now? You've got someone to blame. Well, it's one love, one life, it's one need in the night. come here for forgiveness? Have you come to raise the dead? Have you come here to play Jesus? To the lepers in your head? Did I ask too much? More than a lot. You gave me nothing, now it's all I got. We're one, but we're not the same. Yeah, we hurt each other and we do it again. You would say, love is the temple, love's the higher law. Love is the temple, love's the higher law. You ask me to enter, but then you make me crawl. I can't be holding on to what you got when all you got is hurt. One love, one blood, one life. You got to do what you should. One dream with each other, sisters, brothers. One life, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other, carry each other. One.
Twenty minutes to go.
You are the one, yeah.
As we roll through our musical therapy on this healthy love night.
Don't even like to think about
This is Ed Robinson working out with Dottie.
you without, baby. I only know I live
Their rendition of Someone to Love.
for your love.
Baby, you came to me in my time of need. When I needed you, you were there for me. Baby, the love from you is what got me through.
It's because of you I was able to give my heart again. You give me
Someone to love, someone to touch, someone to hold, someone to know. Someone to love, someone to trust, someone to hold, oh, someone to know. Oh, baby.
I thought I'd never love again.
Baby.
I
sometimes you get that someone to love, and it doesn't quite work out the way you want it to work out, and you just end up crying. Nothing else you can do. I want to say happy belated Earth Day to this guy, Mr. Teddy Greaves Jr. Since it's his Earth Day that we're celebrating, I can't just give you one.
I'm gonna drive
This is his rendition of One Last Cry. I don't know if it's something with water or water falling. So he has One Last Cry. And then he has this. Can you stop the rain?
There's another morning without you.
A blessed belated Earth Day, it's Teddy Greaves.
Do it without breaking down. Haven't seen the sun since you've been gone. Like my heart, I lost it when you left me, and it can't be found. How can I go on, baby? I've been living on memories of you and me. All the love we made, all those tender nights and those endless days are all here inside. Baby, can you stop the rain from falling? Won't you chase my clouds away? I'll give anything to see the sun again. Only you can stop these tears.
Thank you very much, cuz.
I can't face another day. Baby, can you stop? Can you stop? Can you stop the rain?
It is because you have this whole mentality of the love ending. You see, you need to do like China Nicole and just love forever.
Take on me once, boy.
Yeah, I can do that.
Take on me twice.
I think you're getting greedy now.
And spice.
One tickler alone for you, China.
Love me forever, and I'll be true to you. You are an angel, and you're so divine. Yes, you are my angel, and you're mine, oh mine. Love me forever, and I'll be true to you, boy. So true, I'll be so true to you, like cotton and the shoes, baby. Angel of mercy, light of love. You are the one I'm dreaming of. Treat me right, treat me good. Make me feel just like I should. You are an angel and you're so divine. Yes, you are my angel and you're mine, oh mine. Love me forever and I'll be true to you, boy. I'll be so true to you. Angel of mercy, light of love. You are the one I'm dreaming of. Treat me right, treat me good. Make me feel just like I should. You are an angel and you're so divine. Yes, you are an angel and you're mine, oh mine. Love me forever and
Yeah, Gary, I know you would like this one.
to you, boy, be true. I'll be true to you, boy.
Yeah, if you have someone out there that you consider that you're going to love forever, you can dedicate this one to them. This is Novelty. This is dedicated to the one I love.
My baby, I know it's hard for you, my baby, because it's hard for me, my baby, and the darkest hour is just before dawn. Each night before you go to bed, my baby, whisper a little prayer
which one you love. This one dedicated to you and you hiding over there listening in secret. Yeah, it's dedicated to you too. Have new music coming to you to lead us out of the broadcast tonight all together. I want to thank you each and everyone for locking in. Those on Island Worldwide, ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network, WGLR, One Harmony Radio across upon PEMGTV.com, and of course the home of the night shift, the DJ Kevin Stew, KevinStew.com. So glad I could have done this with you, and I would definitely not want to try to not do it with you. This is Tamara B.
Things seems wrong.
New music from her. It's called Child of the King.
Just lift up your head.
This is how I leave you tonight.
Know you're strong.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida,
You won't make it.
I bid you a good night. Until tomorrow, Real Talk Wednesday when we close out the night shift week. Take care.
I know that I said I'm a child of the King. Yes, I'm a child of the King. I know that you may not see or won't believe that I'm a child of the King. I got the crown on my head, the gold shoe on my feet. Said I'm a child of the King. I got the crown on my head, the gold shoe on my feet, and I'll be treading through life. I said I know I got the might, I got the might of power, and it lives within me. I got so much light, I'm gonna shine it all over. I know, yes, I know that I'm a child of the King. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, are you to judge me? Ooh, are you? Ooh, are you judge me? Said in my heart, yes, I know it lives within, it controls my soul. Yes, in my life, it takes control, and I'll give everything to him, 'cause I'm a child.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on KevinStew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.